Can we give a hand to David and Madalena?
Okay, so some of you have done the Maxwell method of DISC. I'm from Texas, and God brought me here with this lovely wife of mine, Madalena. She is an actress from Italy. The result is a result. For example, I'm an I. I'm going to be high no matter what it is, Maxwell, what have you. It's how we interpret it. So the Maxwell one goes deep into leadership development and personal growth. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But for the purposes today, that's Maxwell report language, by the way. I'm an ID. I'm a persuader, okay? Madalena is a technician. She is an S, and there she is as an actress. And we both are Maxwell Leadership certified team members, and we both did that just because we wanted to create an environment, be around people who love personal growth, have good values, and so that's why we do this, and it's actually how we met. But John has this law, these laws he's written, about 58 of them. This is a law of influence, which talks about this measure of leadership as influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Raise your hand if you're a leader. If we draw breath, we're leaders. And if we follow Jesus, we're leaders, because to make a disciple, to teach people things, well, we got to be able to lead them, right? We need to have good influence. DISC is something, it's a tool that helps us to develop our own leadership and our own ability to relate and connect with people. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I love this quote by Andy Stanley, that leadership is not about leverage, it's about trust. We're going to learn about ourselves. We're going to learn about some of our strengths. We're going to discover what makes each of us unique. So DISC is all about recognizing patterns. We actually talk about the platinum rule, which says to treat others how they would like to be treated, right? So in other words, that if I can communicate with somebody knowing their DISC style, their personality indicators, I'm going to have a better chance at reaching their heart and for them feeling a part of the conversation. Just try and draw a straight line. We're going to divide this into quadrants, okay? But you know what's so amazing? I bet we can guess where number one is, can't we? All human behavior communication can be filtered through a combination of 4 areas: dominance, influence, steadiness, compliance. And all of us actually have these in us, some more pronounced than others. For example, somebody here, won't name names, did the Maxwell version of the test, and that's the kind of person, for sure, without even knowing them, that if there is a crisis or a really serious, challenging situation, is somebody you definitely want to call on. You know, conflict. There are a couple of people that would be incredible for harmonizing the environment. So we all have these different preferences of communication, and I like to say this is how God wired us, because I mean, our God is sovereign over everything, including heredity, the role models, environments. But what shapes our personality typically is this combination of heredity, environment, and role models. Environment is really, really critical too, especially emotionally charged experiences in our formative years. So I can speak to myself too. I think we all have been through what we may call trauma or even just amazing events. So, you know, I can vividly recognize some from my childhood, but of course I've healed from those and grown from them, but they've certainly shaped my personality to a degree. And then we have role models. Who do we associate with? You know, we were just talking about earlier, this is a great environment for healthy growth. Here in the church, leadership, we all want to help people become best versions of themselves. I mean, this is a great place to be, right? And so my wife and I talk about it all the time. We use our DISC profiles often. For example, I went to overseas recently to Liberia. She's an S, she's steady. Her biggest fear of that profile is a loss of security and safety. Those are big deals. So knowing that, it's not to give myself a pat on the back, but you know, some friends here, Tim, I'll put you on the spot, and others too, I sent a text, hey, heading off to Liberia, and hey, thanks, you know, in advance for checking in, you guys, you and Joe, on Madalena, just because I know that sense of safety, but that's from the DISC, right? And she knows me and an I, how to keep me more grounded, how to speak in a way that builds my confidence. So these are very, very useful for really helping us to kind of get at our best. DISC, kind of like that quadrant. We're looking at a pattern. The D, okay, so have you ever known someone who's really direct? Okay, they're the people that drive projects forward. They're very bold, they're decisive, and they're comfortable being in control. They may be D-wired. Then we have the I, which I mentioned is mine. These are the people who are fun, the life of the party. They're great at telling a story or a joke, and they're very popular. Well, I don't know about that, at least for me. Those characteristics indicate the person may be I-wired, the influencer, okay? And again, we have all of these in us to different degrees. Then we have People who are loyal and dedicated. They don't really seek attention. They're the backbone of your family or of the department or a team. These are people that can always be counted on to finish things and to support people in projects. They're the S-wired people, as you can see down there. And then finally, have you ever recognized someone who is really neat, really organized? I mean, they've got their home in order, their garage, and they've even got labels and everything probably. They tend to be a little bit more quieter. They don't really seek crowds in the limelight. They're focused on the details. Anybody know somebody like that? And I admire those people because that's a growth area for me. So these are the C-wired people. So this whole framework of this DISC, this DISC, is not meant, again, to put people in a box or anything and close the lid. This, again, is to allow us to find ways that we can better get our message to somebody. Because what's the purpose of the communication but to transmit some information to somebody? We want to solve something, perhaps. We want to maintain or build a relationship. People don't really care what you know until they first know how much you care, right? The people who are D, more dominant and then more compliant, 3% of the population. And these are the people who seek control. They're decisive, direct, and they tend to get results. They tend to be a little bit more task-oriented. Doesn't mean they don't care about people. It's just sort of their natural default, whereas the I and the S tend to be a little bit more people-oriented. And I use myself as an example. I'm an I, but I do my task because I've learned the hard way. It's probably best to do it even though I don't like it. Then you have this other group, the 11%. These are their I's. They're more persuasive, spontaneous, friendly. With grace and humility, you grow into all these. There's no better style. That God will use each one. And that once you really start to study these and learn your style, you'll see, wow, there's a lot of beauty, there's a lot of power in that. But again, we have the grace and the humility to grow into our styles.